Relationships teach us a lot about ourselves. When we give too much, it reveals a need to become wiser in our giving, heal approval-seeking wounds, and better manage boundaries. When we do too much for others, it reveals a need to strengthen our sense of self while growing in our ability to empower others. Sounds good. So what are the signs that we're over-functioning and need to grow? Here are 3 critical signs or situations to pay attention to, and how to develop your strengths so you no longer overfunction. Sign 1. You're playing a parenting role with an adult. If you are the one to make sure your adult partner wakes up on time, you're playing a parental role. Sure, they might have been late that one time. Okay, they didn't manage their bedtime or morning routine like you would have. But they are an adult and you're over-functioning as you play the role of parent. The parent role shows up when someone sets goals for another adult. Or you push unwanted advice onto others because you know best. Or I would put on my Superman cape and pay for lunch when others did not have the means to do so. You're weakening the relationship by doing so, or you're creating unhealthy dependencies. If this is you, step back and see what's going on. Acknowledge the emotional payoff for playing the role of parent to someone you view as a child. Also acknowledge the damage to the relationship when you play the role of parent, rather than allowing them to do them. I started to heal when I asked those I used to parent if they wanted any help from me. My stress levels got more manageable when I realized that they would learn from any consequences they experienced. I became more powerful in my own space while allowing others to be who they are. And that's a great place to be. That brings us to sign number 2 of overfunctioning, and that's taking responsibility for the emotional state of others. I used to walk on eggshells as a child with an angry father. I thought if I managed my behavior better, he wouldn't fly off into fits of rage. Many of you have been there. As an adult, I found that I was doing a version of this as I tried to help manage the emotional states of others. I would apologize when I wasn't really at fault. I noticed I would say no worries when people let me down. When someone didn't show up to a meeting when we agreed, I acted as if it was okay. Sound familiar? Don't beat yourself up. Allow yourself to see what's going on, why, the impact, and when. I noticed that I would imagine an emotional reaction and start to mitigate it even before it was a real problem. In emails, I would imagine a strong emotional reaction and take steps to soft pedal it. When a situation felt uncomfortable, I would take immediate steps to get that feeling back to calm. The impact? Oh, I looked weak. I didn't hold them accountable, and they learned to take advantage of me. Rather than react with anger, I began to imagine the trigger situations, feeling uncomfortable, and see myself acting assertively, staying in my power. The more I imagined this, the more I saw these behaviors show up when someone missed a meeting. I had to deliver bad news or in other situations where I felt uncomfortable. Does imaging different behaviors work? Yes, if you're also doing what you can to act in new ways. Imaging and trying to speak to your subconscious to act differently. And you will. That brings us to the third over-functioning sign, and that's giving unwisely. I love giving. I love being part of the solution that helps others. And as you can probably guess, I've been taken advantage of. I'll bet you have too. Sure, I was angry at others for taking advantage of me, but I began to heal when I did 3 things. First, I brought into awareness situations where I gave unwisely. What was going on? When? What was I seeing or thinking when I gave too much? Oh, I didn't like the disapproval that came from saying no. Of course, the old approval wound showing up again. I noticed also that I was naive in assessing the motives of others. I didn't take advantage of others and assumed others thought the same way. Well, life has a way of stripping away naive views and coming to see reality a bit more clearly. I was helping a lady who didn't show much gratitude, and I learned that she was privately ridiculing my generosity. Of course, I felt anger, but once I calmed down, I realized I gave out of good motives but was a little naive about her mindset. You'll be effective when you can respond from a place of personal power, speaking directly yet without intense emotions. As I mentioned before, imagine yourself acting effectively at key moments. Do your best to act this way, and before you know it, you'll be acting in the new pattern. With this woman, I explained that I was no longer able to help her. She demanded an explanation, and I didn't offer one. She smeared me with friends and on social media, and I didn't feel the need to respond. I imagined how I would respond if I were fully in my place of personal power. I did my best to act this way, and eventually the old approval wound was healed. At first, it was hard not to respond, but soon, I saw what a waste of energy that would be. Sure, sometimes a response is needed, but that wasn't the case with the entitled woman. Today, we've talked about 3 signs or situations. 1 where you notice you're in the parent role. 2 when you're taking on too much responsibility for the emotional states of others. And 3 when you're giving unwisely. The fix is threefold. Notice what you do, when, and why. Bring your current behavior into awareness. Next, imagine a more resourceful response. Finally do it! Your subconscious will figure out what you're up to and will support you more resourcefully. Okay, friends, don't overfunction in relationships. Learn to approach life from a place of personal power. Thanks for joining us today at the Change Capability Institute.